I was born in my mother's bed at the age of being born, and the only people there to help my mother would be my sister Reva, who's 20 years older than I am, and love to tell in mixed company that she always changed my diaper. The location is in Spanish Fork, 288 North, 7th East. This was in a home that was 4 rooms. The function of these rooms continually shifted around at the whims of the people that lived there. I can remember when the kitchen was in the room that I finally grew up in as a teenager, became the dining room. And the reason the kitchen was there is because there was no running water in the house, and the door out to the outside hydrant was off from that room. So when you carried the water in, you had it closest to the water hydrant. And we never had any indoor plumbing until I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old. So we had an outhouse. It was out south of the house we lived in, and it went through the patch of raspberries to get out to the outhouse. One day my sister Reva and my brother Sterling saw that their little brother Lawrence was asleep, and they carefully picked him up on this blanket and took him out and laid him down in the middle of the raspberry patch. He was still asleep all this time. He finally wakes up and he's in the middle of the raspberry patch, and he panics. He doesn't know where he is, and he starts thrashing around through the raspberries that have thorns all over them. That's just an example of some of the things that children do when they can't pick up their iPhone and dial up a game. They make up their own game. It was a big deal to get plumbing. I remember it was, they dug all the ditches by hand, shovels, and the plumbing came down our street, and we got an indoor bathroom. It was a wonderful thing. It had a water tank then, and the water was heated by the coal stove, and it wasn't an insulated tank, and it was located in the bathroom. So the house was heated by wood burning or coal burning stoves. There weren't any furnaces or any of that kind of stuff, so you kind of went to the places that were warm in the house. There were 4 of us children, Snell and Alden and Norman and myself. Slept in a small bedroom which had no heat. We just had big covers, blankets over us, and then we would carry a flat iron in a wool sock to put in the bottom of the bed to put our feet on until we got the bed warmed up. That house still exists today. There's been a huge add-on. We had a garden. Actually, all of those houses in Spanish Fork were built on the corner of each block. And if you drive through Spanish Fork, you can still see all the old houses on the corners, and then the space in between has been filled up with newer, more modern houses. All that space used to be gardens and barns and corrals and places to keep livestock. That doesn't exist anymore, but you can still pick up that pattern. The other rooms in the house were my parents' bedroom, and then we had a living room and a dining room and a kitchen. And then we had the little room where all the kids slept, which was just a sleeping room, and it had a cellar, which is underground in what we would call a basement nowadays. And the granary was attached to the house, which is an old Danish custom. In the old country, they always attached their farm animals to the house that they lived in. In fact, a lot of times they would have the farm animals on the ground floor, and then the people would live on the next floor up. And in the wintertime, the animals would heat up their section, and that would keep the house warm for the people upstairs. My mother did not like that granary hooked onto the house. She would cuss out the Danishman that made that house. She had to put up with it. She didn't like the granary onto the house because the granary attracts critters, mostly rats and mice, and so they tend to get into your house. We always had lots of cats. My mother liked cats because they kept the rodent population down. And she would even let them come in the house sometimes, but if they did their job inside her house, she would grab them by the neck and rub their nose in it. And then they wouldn't do their job in the house anymore. They'd go meow, want to go outside, because they didn't like that experience.